this is Daniel Mart back again. I am an actor and filmmaker based out of South Florida, and for this week, I kind of want to discuss something that I don't feel gets discussed enough, especially when it comes to independent filmmaking, and that is when a project gets canceled. So, why am I making this video? Basically, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I want to say, I was going to start production on a project called Scary Teddy. I was a producer for this project as well as an actor for this project. This project was written by some people who I worked with in the past for The Mechanic. So was working with them, with Albert Aronoff, who was the director of The Mechanic, and he was also going to be a producer on this project as well. It's the DP for Scary Teddy. And I was working with Julian Russo, who was I believe he was basically a production assistant. I know he had an official title, but he did so many roles on The Mechanic that I kind of just lost track of what exactly a specific title is. And he was going to be the director of this project, of Scary Teddy. He was also the co-writer of this project. And I kind of just want to discuss this because I feel like it's something that not many people really talk about, especially when it comes to independent filmmaking. Yes, we always have projects that are canceled due to a variety of reasons, whether it be because idiots like David Zasloff want to cancel a project last minute, like he did for Batwoman and the Acme versus Looney Tunes movie, whether it be that or because of lack of funding, which does happen often. And that really wasn't the situation this time around. This situation with Scary Teddy I found to be extremely just weird. And before I continue any further, I'm not blaming Albert and I'm not blaming Julian. If anything, they were extremely great to work with, and I honestly do wish that this production, this film, could have been made. It literally got canceled on the cusp of when filming was supposed to be. And it was... Honestly, part of the reason I'm making this is because I do want to genuinely discuss this and see if this could maybe help people figure stuff out in the pre-production phase, so that this doesn't happen to you in your own productions, but as well as almost like a therapy session for me, because I just want to discuss this. I really just want to get this off my chest and move on from this project in a sense. I'm still going to be working with them in the future. We're actually discussing other smaller projects that we could do in the future. But yeah, this was supposed to be the big project. And this also would have been the first project I would have done that's not within the South Florida tri-state area, where it's not part of Miami-Dade, Broward, or West Palm Beach. This would have been shot in Orlando. So yeah. Yeah. So basically what happened? So earlier this year, January, February, Julian had contacted me in regards to this project, and he wanted me to be a role in the production. For the cast, like a cast as an actor. He wanted to cast me as an actor because he saw all of the work I was doing, as well as, of course, he knew me from The Mechanic, and we had worked great there. And he had me in the role of Ian. And basically, to give you an idea of what this film was about, Scary Teddy, it's a slasher. It's a very meta slasher, where it's the fact that it's a slasher taking place during the production of a film. While the film is filming, there's a slasher on the loose. And my character was the PA, Ian. And originally there was supposed to be two PAs. We were trying to cast another PA for that character, another actor for that character, but it just never went through. So he did rework the script a bit. He reworked the script a lot to accommodate a lot of our restrictions that we originally couldn't have, because it was supposed to be a much bigger project. But of course, as with every production, budget. It always comes down to budget and what we're able to do with the budget, with what we have, our resources, etc., etc., etc. From a budgetary standpoint, he rewrote the script a lot so it could fit the constraints of this budget. He rewrote the script, honestly, several times, even after he became a producer, again, just to fit our limited restrictions. And initially, again, since I was initially just contacted as an actor, since I was just on the production as an actor, I was just like, okay, cool, just tell me when we film, bada bing, bada boom, we'll go from there. And that's how it basically was. So I was on the group chat, I was seeing what was being discussed, when we could possibly have a table read or have in live rehearsals or anything like that. Cut to, and I actually remember when this happened. It was actually the day after the Oscars when I was actually at the dollar store, and I got a call from Julian. He's like, hey, I want to talk to you about something, about an opportunity for this film. I'm like, shoot, go ahead. And he basically wanted me to come on board as a producer for the film. Essentially, I guess the best way to word it would have been, I would have been an associate producer, but given some of the other stuff I was going to be doing for the film, that basically would have given me the upgrade to just a producer. Most of my talent, producing wise, would have been more so for post production stuff and for film festival release. That's where my talents lied in that respect. I was also helping doing some other stuff. some more like production manager stuff, like sending out call sheets or sending out casting calls or stuff like that. But again, most of my time was more so geared towards the post-production phase, which again never happened at the end. Again, since I was also kind of doing double duty with the production manager role, I was also contacting actors to making sure, hey, we're gonna have a Zoom meeting, this for a Zoom table read on this day. Let's see if we could schedule this out. Blah 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 blah. Right? And so yeah, he contacted me literally while I was on Dollar Store, Dollar Tree, whatever. He contacted me. That's actually where I got the steelbook for Sherlock Holmes, which I showed off in my haul video that came out whenever that was. I want to say March or April. As a producer, I was actually very happy to be a producer on this project, mostly because the last time I did a producer for a feature film, I didn't have the best experience. I didn't really feel like I was actually being a producer. It's essentially what it came down to. The last time I was a producer on a feature film, I didn't really feel like I was a producer, if that makes sense. I was a producer in title, but I honestly didn't really feel like I did anything, or as much as I could have, mostly because of just other restrictions on that film. So in this one, I really wanted to like plant my stamp, plant my flag down, and like really be a producer on this film. And from the second we hit go, as me as a producer, I did as much as I can. Again, I contacted the actors. I said, okay, I want to have a table read, Zoom table read. When can we do this? I contacted all the actors. I was also contacting them alongside with Julian, again the director, to see when we could do costume fittings. I was in contact with Julian as well to see what's going on with the location, because the location was kind of tricky to pin down. And everything was going great. And we did have two issues with actors. One of them just had to drop out because of just scheduling conflicts, essentially what it came down to. So we had to figure out a way to like recast that character. We eventually did recast it, and that was good. And then the other issue we had was basically, simply put, one of the actors was being a princess. That's as simple as I'm going to put it. Very demanding, and they weren't even the main character. They were the first victim. So they would have only been on screen for about 5 to 10 minutes, if that much. And they were just making too much demands, and she quit, basically. She essentially quit. And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, I don't care. And after that incident, we recast her role, more or less, mostly again because of timing. I say more or less because right on this cusp of her being cast was also on the cusp of when this other actress, when she quit, that was about 1 week before filming was set to begin. So just as we were confirming this other actress to recast the role, the lead character dropped out because he ended up getting another gig somewhere else. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. You've got to be shitting me. And because of that kind of had a trickle down effect. And it's one of those things like, oh, if he's not going to be there and he's like one of the lead characters, then why should I be there? And because of that, a lot of the actors last minute just pulled out. And I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And that was such a hit. It canceled the production, essentially. Because the thing with that is that we couldn't really reschedule. We honestly can't reschedule because we needed that location, and getting that location as is was already kind of a pain in the ass to get. For Julian, it was already a pain in the ass to get, and it's one of those things like if you cancel after a certain time, he had to pay for the cancellation fee, if I'm not mistaken, and he couldn't transfer over the location dates to like next week when possibly more people are available or whatever. And that was such a kick in the nuts, and it's one of those things that kind of pissed me off, if I'm being honest. I'm being genuine. It like legitimately pissed me off because you're part of this film. You've signed the contracts, to be in this film. You got the call sheet not even a day ago or a day or two ago, and now you're gonna pull out because you got another gig, essentially. And to a certain extent, Albert doesn't blame the guy because he was getting paid more for this other gig than what we were gonna pay him, and to a certain extent I guess that's valid, but at the same time it just shows bad professionalism, in my opinion, of this actor to basically drop out right there on the cusp of us filming, especially because he knew all the struggles we were going through and getting the location and getting the props, getting the costumes for this, the issue with the other actress, if I'm not mistaken. He was aware of all that, and for him to drop out. But then again, what sucked about that again is that ripple down effect. Oh, because he's not there, I'm not gonna be there. And it's like, no, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? The problem was that this guy, he was like in like 99% of every single scenes. He was in 99% of all scenes in the film. And again, he was one of the main characters. And then what didn't help is that he was actually dating the other main actress in the film. So because of that, the two main actors essentially dipped. And again, from there, it had a trickle down effect, and it was so depressing in my opinion. Like Julian went MIA for like a few days after that because he just didn't want to talk. And then when I eventually talked to him, you could just tell how defeated he was, and I almost feel like he took the wrong lesson from this whole experience. Because again, the only other thing he's ever done film wise was a mechanic, and Albert had continually told him, which I actually think was, which I understand why Albert said this, but I also don't think he should have said this if I'm being honest. But Albert told Julian that he should not start with a feature film. He should start with a short film. Now, although I understand why he said that, I think it was the bad message to send, and especially because of the effects it's having now. I genuinely think it was like the wrong thing to tell Julian from the start, that you should not be doing a feature film. You should be doing a short film, because I just feel like that's limiting someone's creativity. If someone wants to make a feature film, let them make a feature film, and they'll learn and they'll get the on-set experience of the difficulties of it. And he was learning those difficulties right now, as is. And I think that was just a really bad thing to tell for Albert to tell Julian. And I think, especially now that the film fell through, it's like one of those things like, see, I told you so. This happened because you made a feature film, not a short film. And I think that's just, again, although I know why Albert said what he said, I understand why he said what he said. I just categorically do not think he should have said what he said. It's one of those things. It's been 2-3 weeks since that's happened, and it's one of those things like I'm kind of defeated right now, because like this was such. If I genuinely believed in this project, we all did. Me, Julian, Albert, we all genuinely believed in this project, and then for it to fall through, not because of financial reasons, not because the location called it off, which has happened in the past with other productions, but no, it's because people at the end, the actors, were unprofessional. And one, the main guy, again, he took another gig despite already being set to be in this one. And then two, everybody else having that trickle down effect. Oh, if he's not going to be there, I'm not going to be there. Like, no, that's literally not how it works. I'm currently doing another project, which I'm not sure if I'm going to discuss this in the future or not, but I'm currently doing another project where one of the main actors for this production is, he's basically MIA to a certain extent. He was there for the first 2-3 days of shooting, and then after that, it doesn't seem like he wants to return to the project for some reason. And we've literally the director of that project has literally needed to rework the entire script and essentially change the ending. And I think we finally finished production this weekend for that film. Funny enough, so there's been times where like the actor or an actor has dropped out. And there's been times where the lead actor has dropped out, and again, in this other example I'm using, he is one of the leads. He's not the lead, but he's one of the leads. And nobody else is like, oh, just because he's not coming, I'm going to drop out too. Like, that's... And I've seen that, and you could say the difference is that, oh, you guys already started filming, whereas this is right before filming. But no, I've seen it even where someone drops out during filming, and then another person decides to leave because that person's not there. And I've seen that happen, and it's very frustrating. And I understand if there's a budget issue. I understand if the location doesn't want to be filmed there at anymore, you know? I understand if there's a complication with the location or budgetary issue or a crew issue. I'll be honest, I'll understand if there's a crew issue as well, you know, with like a producer or like, you know, something's going on with the DP or makeup person or whatever the fuck have you. I understand. I'll even understand that. But even with those examples, even if there's an issue with the crew, usually people don't leave. The only people that leave are the people who are part of that group or part of that, you know, if it's like the makeup artist, then if the makeup artist brought like her assistants, then all 3 of them are going to leave, and then, okay, cool. Same thing if like it's the DP and the DP leaves, then he's going to have his like 4 or 5 people who he brought in who are his like gaffers or electricians. If they came in a group, then they'll leave. But in those situations, it's always easier, and I'm using easier in quotation marks because it always comes down to budgetary stuff at the end, but it's always easier to replace that. Even then, in those instances, you understand, oh, these people are going to leave because they're connected with this one person. Whereas here, the only person we really could have predicted to leave was the girlfriend, and yes, which would have sucked and did suck because she was also the other lead actress. But it's the fact that everybody else afterwards is like, no, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna leave because this person's not here. And I'm like, and it's like, I, it's one of those things that I was talking to Julian, and basically made it seem like, oh, if he's not gonna be there, then why are we shooting? And it's just very frustrating, and I'm very disappointed in how it turned out. And I just really wanted to talk about this again. I just really wanted to get it off my chest because it's not been sitting well with me for the past 2-3 weeks or whatever since this transpired. It's really not been sitting well with me, and I feel again. I think it's fair for me to show you this, to explain this to you. You know, I've taken you guys on vlogs to film festivals. I've taken you guys on vlogs about, where like, hey, this is the premiere of this. Like, the last vlog I did was the premiere for Frag. For example, and I've done, I have talked about bad experiences on sets, with La Familia. But I think this is just another avenue of filmmaking that you have to expect if you're a producer, if you're a director, or if you're an actor. Because you're saying, as an actor, if a project falls through, okay, a project falls through, who cares? But as a producer, as a director, if a project falls through, yes, again, it falls through, but like I feel like it weighs so much heavier on the heart when you're the producer or director compared to when you're just the actor. Like, again, I've had projects where it's fallen through and I'm the actor. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, goodbye. That project's not happening. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. As a producer, however, it's a lot more frustrating. It's a lot more frustrating because you've spent your time on this. You've dedicated money or resources or whatever have you to this, and for it to just fall through, it sucks. It categorically sucks. There is a part of me that hopes that we could still make the film one day, and I did discuss that with Albert and Julian, that let's keep let's keep this script in the back of our in our back pockets in case of anything, and let's see if we could make it in the future. Let's not throw this script away. Let's still have it just in case of anything. Like, it was almost like, it really sucks that these people, especially because, yeah, that's the other thing. A lot of these actors, they were actually, and that's the thing I don't kind of understand. Was I do and I don't. It's one of those things I do understand it, but at the same time, I like, it's like really. It's one of those things like, Julian found a bunch of these actors through his acting classes or improv classes that he was taking up in Orlando. So a lot of these people, this is like their first actual film acting role, and it's one of those things that his theory, and I kind of agree with it. I'm not entirely. I kind of agree with it. I wouldn't be entirely surprised if this was the situation, but he was saying that because this is like their first role, they're maybe not taking this as seriously. Yes, we could tell them the issues with the location or with the budget, or with people dropping out. We could give them all this information. We could tell them how stressed we are. But at the end of the day, they're probably not taking it as seriously because they're not used to this type of environment, to this film environment. They don't really know the process of how this is for the most part. And that's really the situation that we were presented with. And it's one of those things that they think that things could just be moved around all willy-nilly. And no, that's not how it works. We had such a struggle trying to really secure the location. We generally didn't think we were going to get it at the end, again, due to the budget, but then we did. And again, moving that date for the location wasn't feasible at the end. So yeah, his theory was like, just like, these people don't really understand what it takes to be in the film, and they're just taking this for granted, and they think we could just move this to next week or whatever. And like, that's not how it works. That really isn't how it works. And again, there was just so much passion between the three of us, between Julian, Albert, and me. There was just so much passion. We poured in so many resources and time in this project to do it. And again, it got canceled right there at the cusp of it. Right there at the cusp of us filming. Clearly, I'm not very disappointed, but there is also a part of me that's like, honestly very angry, especially at all the talent that left. Because first off, I'm extremely angry at the main guy who left. First off, and then to follow up with that, I'm extremely angry at the people who left because he left. Because again, that's not how it works. That is not how it works. Like, if it was just him, if it was just the main guy who left, yes, we would have needed to figure something out, but we could still shot a bunch of other stuff that he's not in, so to speak, or like even do see. I mean, again, he was in like 99% of the scenes, but like we could still do the scenes and just like shoot parts where he's not the main focus of the scene. And that's the thing. There's scenes where like he's not even in the whole thing of the scene. Like, There's one like 10 page scene where he only comes in halfway through the scene, or he's only in half of that scene. So we could have shot 5 of those pages right there, and it was just it's just one of those things that's very frustrating. I just want to talk about it. I really just want to talk about it because it was just eating away at me to a certain degree. And again, I didn't really think I was going to discuss it, but at the same time, it felt right to discuss it to you guys to get an idea of what was going on. And that's the thing. That's the thing. Had this production, had we filmed this video wouldn't be this video. This video was originally supposed to be the vlog for Scary Teddy. Like, hey, we're shooting Scary Teddy. That was this week's video was originally supposed to be that, not this. I guess at the end you guys still get a Scary Teddy video, but not the one you guys wanted or anticipated per se. I mean, granted, you guys didn't know that this was going to happen regardless, but it's just very frustrating. I mean, that's really what it is. It's just very frustrating. And again, I've had projects where they fall through, but usually that's as an actor, and it is what it is. I don't even think I've ever had a project fall through as a producer. Now I think about it, not that I really think about it, and I don't think I've ever had that. But yeah, like legitimately, I don't even think I've ever had one as a producer, and I think that's why it hits so much harder, because as a producer, I really want to make my mark out there. As you know, yes, I want to make my mark out there as an actor and as a director, but again, even me, I want to diversify my talents and my portfolio, and the best way to do that for me is as a producer and through my production company. And this was a great opportunity, and at the final hour, on the cusp of filming, it fell through. But it is what it is, I guess. We'll have that script in our back pockets in case of anything, but that's really it. So yeah, that's basically it for this video. Again, probably not the video you guys were expecting, but you know, sometimes that's the reality of the filmmaking, of film production, that projects fall through due to dumbass reasons, because people are just, simply put, unprofessional. And that's what happens, and sometimes you need to prepare for that. To a certain extent, you always need to prepare that the project you're on could fail. Realistically speaking, most projects do fail during pre-production, realistically speaking. But again, it's usually due to budgetary reasons. More often than not, it's usually because of lack of budget, not because the lead actor walked out and now everybody else wants to walk out because they don't know the industry properly. That's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.